Hi guys, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. It's so greatly appreciated. It truly, truly is. Before we get started, let me give you my usual disclaimer that this video is for educational purposes only. Please do not take what I say as fact. Please always do your own research and come to your own conclusions. Next. If you have not liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. It really helps me out and I really, really appreciate it. Lastly, sorry about the tree. My elves were here. This is True Crime at Christmas Time, Day 14. 23-year-old Katie Locke was born on November 19th, 1989 to parents Bill and Jennifer Locke. She was a graduate from the University of Southampton, and she worked as a history and politics teacher at Cardinal Catholic School. Katie was described as a generous soul who cared for other people, always put others first, and didn't have a bad bone in her body. She loved being part of a team. She was a brownie, a guide. She loves water sports, and she became a kayak instructor. She also worked with underprivileged children in the United States. Katie had beauty, brains, a great job, a great family, and lots of amazing friends. The only thing missing in her life was a boyfriend. So Katie did what millions of people do, and she joined the free dating site, Plenty of Fish. She would begin talking to a man named Carl Langdale. If you looked into Carl Langdale, he appeared to be an amazing catch. He was a lawyer. He owned his own law firm. He had a postgraduate degree in communications. He did an internship at the Independent Newspaper Journal. He had a blog called Decent Human that spoke about humanitarian work. He published poetry, and he had pictures of himself playing golf in exotic locations and hanging out with friends. Plus, there were a lot of comments from a lot of people. So, by all accounts, it seems like he checks out. So, he looks like an amazing catch, and this is also the person that he portrayed himself to be to not only Katie, but 20 other women, at least 20 other women. The two exchanged messages for about 2 weeks before they agreed to meet in person at a trendy bar in London called Traffic. Before the date, Katie was smart enough to tell a girlfriend of hers about it. She told her his name and she showed her his picture. She would even text her friend halfway through the date to tell her that the date was going well. If you are dating on dating sites, I implore you to do this. Please. Please do this. Believing that Carl owned his own law firm, was highly educated, had an abundance of friends and money, gave Katie a false sense of security about going out with him. While she's on the date with Carl, he gets so drunk that he can barely stand up. So Katie, being the kind soul that she is, hails a cab and accompanies him back to his hotel. Not only did she pay for that taxi ride in his room at a 4-star resort called Theobald's Park Hotel, but she had to pay extra because he vomited all over the taxi. The fact that Carl rented a 4-star hotel room leads some people to believe that this was done purposefully, not only to keep up the image that he was a wealthy lawyer that owned his own law firm, but also to be able to get Katie back to the room so he could control the narrative for that evening. The receptionist recalls helping Katie get Carl to the room because he was so drunk that he couldn't even stand up, and Katie wasn't strong enough to do it on her own. The receptionist got Carl to the room and heard from Katie again about a half hour later when she called down for 2 toothbrushes, probably because Carl stunk like puke. The receptionist says she brought the brushes up to the room, she handed them to Katie, and that everything was fine. But after the door closed, things would change. All right, so first let me tell you who Carl Langdale is. He's not a lawyer. Spoiler alert. And he does not own his own law firm. He actually spent the last 2 years prior to meeting Katie in and out of psychiatric hospitals. In 2013, he threatened to kill a girlfriend. In 2014, he assaulted his brother. In 2015, he threatened a girlfriend's sister and a nurse at a psychiatric hospital. Also in 2015, he threatened to unalive himself, and he was 5150'd as a result of this because he was a danger to himself or others. While he's doing these stints in the hospital, he told one nurse that he was attracted to his girlfriend's sister and that he had fantasies of her throat and having sex with her corpse. He went on to tell the nurse that he was going to take pictures and send them to her so that she could see how serious he was about this. The nurse reported the claim made by Carl, but the real truth of the matter is you can't lock somebody away forever that hasn't done anything yet. Okay, so now that I have you all caught up, let's go over what happened the night of December 23rd, 2015, after the receptionist dropped off the toothbrushes. It is believed that almost immediately after the door shut, Carl Katie to death. After she passed, Carl took pictures of her on his iPhone. Then he SA'd her corpse using a bar of soap to lubricate. Next, he wrapped her in a blanket, placed her in a laundry cart, rolled her to a fire escape, dragged her down the steps, brought her into Woodland, and left her there. He then returned to his hotel room, called down for a late checkup, and went back to sleep. When he woke up, he ate breakfast, checked out at 2 p.m., and headed home to walk the family dog. So remember I told you Carl was dating like around 20 women at the time he was seeing Katie? He had actually brought 2 other girls back to that hotel on 2 separate occasions. He had sex with them, and both girls walked out alive and well. So then it begs to question, did Katie refuse to sleep with the cheap date that can't hold his alcohol? Is that why he attacked her and not the other girls? The world may never know. On his way home, he ran into one of the girls that he had a night with at the hotel. He told her that they weren't going to be able to see each other anymore because he killed someone and he's going to be going to jail for a really long time. December 24th, when nobody could get in touch with Katie, her family begins to panic. Because Katie was smart enough to give her friend the details and the picture, it was actually pretty easy for the family to track down Carl. So, Katie's dad goes over to Carl's house and his mother answers the door. He explains to the mother that his daughter's missing and she was on a date with her son last night. The mother calls Carl, who's walking the family dog in the park. He admitted what he did to his mother right away, and he told her that he was a monster. Accurate. Okay, so imagine being Katie's father just for like 1 second. No, for 1 minute. You're standing on this strange woman's doorstep and you're hearing from her that her son murdered your baby girl on their date last night. Oh my dear God. Katie's father called the police, who tracked him down at Lee Valley Park and arrested him. He cooperated with police and told them where they could find Katie. He told police that he was a narcissist incapable of feelings and emotions. Katie's body would be found on hotel grounds on December 24th, 2015. It's believed he made the confession because he thought it would give him leniency. But after he realized the gravity of his actions, he changed his story to a sex game gone wrong. Friends and ex-boyfriends of Katie's would take the stand at trial to testify that Katie was not into any sort of BDSM. Carl was found guilty and sentenced to 26 years in prison, and he was sent to a maximum security Wakefield prison. In February of 2016, Carl would be found in his cell with a self-inflicted cut to his throat. He would later die on February 11th, 2016, less than 2 months after Katie's death. All right, guys, if you're still here, thank you. I appreciate you so very much. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or commented yet, please consider doing so. And until next time, stay safe out there.